Hello, 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 everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And it is time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and the worst tracks of the week. They're all linked down below, so you can check them out. You can hear them for yourself. Before I get into it, I have to shout out our Turntable Lab link. Down there in the description box, you can get a colorful pressing of a record we have reviewed on the main channel. We get kickback from it. You get vinyl. Our channel gets some support in exchange for that. And also our Patreon page is down below as well, where you can, if you hit up that for a small monthly fee, $2 for our monthly bonus patron-only Let's Argue. We just dropped a new one. And for that, not only do you see that Let's Argue, you see the previous ones too, because we've dropped quite a few so far. So for a small monthly donation, you get bonus monthly content that Let's Argue. We also have up there some listening parties of classic albums that we do on a monthly basis as well. Also our Let's Argue shout-out sort of name list at the end of each episode tier as well. Hit up that page, link down below. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, supporting the content, and everything that we do. All right, and the worst tracks of the week. We have a handful, just a couple. And then we will move on to greener pastures. 1, the new Of Montreal track, Peace to All Freaks. I don't know what has pushed Kevin Barnes into this sudden, we have to do an 80s song, we have to do a synth pop song direction, but it does not sound good. The production is weak. The aesthetic he's trying to grasp onto here, rekindle, essentially recapture on his own recording, is displayed pretty weakly, and the song isn't even that great. So can't say based off of this I'm all that excited for this new Of Montreal record, but whatever. Moving on from there, Modest Mouse has a new one out, Ice Cream Party, and it does not sound like a party at all. It is the slowest, most boring single Modest Mouse has ever put out, period. And I thought some of the tracks from the band's last record were rough. Virtually none of the distinct and just basically thrilling or interesting characteristics of Modest Mouse's music that has defined their most classic record show up on this track. Even Isaac's voice just sounds completely off. There's nothing about this song I find appealing. It's just really uneventful. It's just really slow. It's very hazy, not a whole lot of substance, just a lot of hot air, in my opinion. Moving on from there, also Glass Animals. They have a new track out that features Denzel Curry, Tokyo Drifting. Given the Denzel Curry feature, I was pretty excited to give this thing a try, but it is just a really weak attempt at trying to fuse like some pop rock and some trap. And can't say I cared for much of any of it outside of Denzel's verse. Denzel's verse was great. Can't really say that the song was boring or just felt like a cheap imitation of something else on account of Denzel. If there was no Denzel Curry feature on this track, there really would have been no reason to try it whatsoever. I'm just hoping that Glass Animals, while I've never been a huge fan, I'm hoping that the entire record doesn't go down this direction, because that would be difficult to listen to. Let's move on to the tracks that I thought were kind of meh. Not blowing me away, but still worth mentioning and pointing out. Still worth some attention, a mention. First off, the new track from Princess Nokia, Balenciaga. I like the sentiment and the theme of this track. Essentially about fashion, thrifting, kind of defining your own look and style, which has always been Princess Nokia's thing. Beat goes hard. I like the flow. Lyrically, it's not one of her best. There are some lyrics that are kind of worthy of an eye roller here. Some very basic ass rhymes here and there. But for the most part, I think this track is basically if Thrift Shop by Macklemore was actually cool, and was not total shit. So, while that song is fun and was certainly fun at the time that it dropped, has not aged well, I'm liking this track a bit more in terms of shelf life, I guess. So, still, shout out to the attempt here. There are a lot of good elements of this track, and maybe if you don't mind the lyrics, you'll like it a lot more than me. Also, shout out to Loma Prieta, Continuum, name of their new single. I like the explosive and abrasive second leg of this track, but I don't know why the entire first half is spent just like mimicking this slightly crunchy, lo-fi, very boring, average indie rock sound where the vocals are buried to the point where you really don't get much out of them. I like Loma Prieta's more chaotic approach to screamo. Some might even call it emo violence, and that's cool. I dig that about their stuff. Can't say I enjoy hearing them too much going down this boring indie rock road, though again, they kind of pick it up in the second half and go into more interesting territory with that. John Legend, Kelly Clarkson, John Legend's Legendary Christmas, his new Christmas album is out, and he has a track on it with Kelly Clarkson that's pretty much a more progressive, updated, less problematic version of Baby It's Cold Outside. I did a full-length review of this over on the Fantano channel. It's a little corny, yes, but the original song is corny as hell too, so I mean, you know, that much hasn't changed. Are the lyrics less problematic? Yes. You know, I say just look at it as one of many, many updates that have been done to Christmas or holiday songs over the decades that popular holiday song has commercially been a thing. It's not like every single commercial holiday song that we hear on the radio or hear covers of year in and year out has seen no alterations whatsoever. At least the alterations on this one were, I guess, well-intentioned. So it's okay. Some of the vocal performances could have been better on here too. John and Kelly, a few parts I think could have used another take, but overall, not bad. Next, Jhené Aiko, brand new song featuring her ex Big Sean. The title is None of Your Concern. I am liking a lot of aspects of this track. I think her vocals on here are more stunning than they've been in a little while instrumentally. I think it's cool, like the tune as well. It's really just Big Sean on the back end that ends up kind of dragging the whole thing down, because lyrically I don't think his verse fits the tone of the entire song. I mean, sure, there are elements there of desire and missing someone, yeah, okay, but the incredibly perverse avenues that his lyrics go down just don't really seem all that fitting against what Aiko is doing for the majority of the track, in my opinion. It just kind of seems like a square peg in a round hole, but what are you going to do? We also have Harry Styles, Watermelon Sugar. I don't know what to say about this track. I mean, I like the instrumental. It feels kind of classic as far as like a fusion of pop and maybe a little bit of rock music as well. It's very light on the ears. It's got a good groove to it. I like that Harry is trying to do something that I would say is a little more mature, but there's something in terms of just his delivery, his performance, his charisma, frankly, that's lacking. I feel like he's really marketing himself in this rock star mode. He is dressing very colorfully. He's really like throwing himself into the spotlight, and I think trying to be a little more eccentric and a little bit bolder in terms of his look and in terms of his singing style. But you know, he's no Freddie Mercury, man. You know, and that's really kind of all there is to it. And not that he's pulling directly from a Queen thing, but when you're talking about like, you know, the gods of gods when it comes to like frontmen and singers and just like dudes who hit the stage, they hit the mic, they have that pizzazz, they have that certain something, they have that incredible performance ability, that incredible talent when it comes to execution. And I just don't really feel like Harry has that, you know, unless the song is really amazing, which I think the song is okay. There's not a whole lot to get excited about because Harry is just not like burning the house down. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is the kind of track that would warrant that sort of performance style, but he just doesn't really bring it to the table. I don't know. All right, moving on from there, Grimes. Brand new song from her upcoming record, which is dropping in 2020. So Heavy I Fell Through the Earth art mix. I think this track is pretty groovy, which is cool. But for the most part, it just feels like a really dated piece of clubby electronic music that's a little moody, maybe slightly dystopian, but very washed out. Not much of a tune or a structure to it. It's just really repetitive and I don't know, it just seems like a bit of navel gazing song-wise. Song-wise, it just seems out to lunch. You know, it's got a groove. It goes on for quite a while. It's very washed out. It's got a lot of layers to it, but not a whole lot of substance beyond what you're kind of hearing on the surface in terms of like the very pillowy and groovy bells and whistles, I guess. We have a brand new track from a Boogie with a Hoodie, Reply, featuring Lil Uzi Vert, an artist whose stuff I don't typically cover on the channel, but still, I thought this song was worth covering because Uzi Vert's verse on here is absolutely great. Vocally, he, I think, goes harder than he has in a while, and I like that he really just tries to sell it on this track. So big respect to Lil Uzi Vert for really kind of pulling it off and pulling it off well on this new cut. We have Billie Eilish, brand new cut, which I talked about over on the Fantano channel, Everything I Wanted, and it's okay. It's kind of a fusion of art pop and house music. I think the tune is okay. I like the surreal, nightmarish, dreamy elements and the storytelling of the song, but production is bland as hell. Production is so bland. And as far as a fusion of pop music and house goes, this is pretty typical. Not really a whole lot about it that I find to be special. Nothing nearly as unique or as creative as anything on Billie's latest record. So I'm hoping for something better down the pipe. And Baths, Wistful, Fata Morgana, brand new single. I don't know if you guys have listened to Baths in a while. I know it's been a while since I've covered Baths on the channel, although it's not like there's been a whole lot of Baths music to talk about as of late, but I'm kind of shocked as to how much this song just sounds like a Postal Service song. I really don't know what the cause for this shift in sound and direction is on this track, but it just pretty much sounds like a Postal Service song. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. It's not terrible, but there doesn't really seem too much influence-wise being plugged into this track other than the Postal Service, and I'm just not sure why. Best tracks of the week, the tracks that really grabbed my attention. We got a handful. Let's go through them. One, Trippie Redd with the track over here, Death, featuring DaBaby. Not really a whole lot to say about this track other than banger alert, banger alert, banger alert. It's dark, it's grimy, it's nasty. Trippie's flows are pretty good. DaBaby is great on the track as well. DaBaby continues to just show his incredible talent as a feature artist. He really just kind of picks any track that he's placed on up, and not sure what else to say outside of that. What makes this track entertaining is pretty cut and dry. All right, moving on from there. PlayThatBoiZay, Poison Klan, featuring Denzel Curry and Anonymuz, an artist who I've been turned on to because of his connections to Denzel Curry. These three come together on this track for an incredibly dark and aggressive, I would say, evil and sinister-ass banger. Make sure to try it because it goes hard as hell, and you can already tell from the cover over here, it's kind of evil as fuck. All right, shout out to Neon Indian. Neon Indian is back, dropping a brand new single, Toyota Man. And yeah, if you like that nostalgic brand of synth funk that Neon Indian typically brings to the table, you'll like the bass line of this track, but the track is in Spanish. There are also what I would say elements of like, I don't know what, Tejano music? I really don't know, but it's not just some straight gentrified Western brand of synthy pop music. I'll say that. I love that he is bringing in some, I guess, more international flavors into the mix. I like that Alan is, I guess, even representing and I guess defending the groups of people who are being attacked, I would say in an unwarranted fashion by the current administration's immigration policies, because that is brought up in the music video as well. Though, if you're just listening to the song and vibing to it, it's not anything that's gonna, sort of be in your face. Outside of the fact that, hey, it's pretty cool that we're hearing something that is a little outside of the American borders in terms of just the style, the sound, and everything. So the song is catchy as hell. Loving the mix of influences. Production is great too. Good vocal performance from Alan as well, and the creative and fun, colorful music video, which has, of course, some social commentary into it, is just a cherry on top of this already nice-ass musical Sunday. All right, we have also, Moses Sumney, Virile is the name of this new track, and Sumney is getting bolder and bolder and bolder and more out there. Loving this. This is a nice piece of art pop over here with some insane lead vocals on it. And it is a lengthy track too. It really is going to make you hunker down for a while and just observe its majesty is really all I can say about it. Majesty is what this track is filled with. It's majestic. So give it a try, give it a shot. Very excited for Moses Sumney's next couple of years if he's going to continue dropping material like this. We also have, Lim Kim, Yellow, brand new EP, which this is the EP over here that she's recently dropped. And this song over here, Yellow, is an incredibly dark and amazing banger. And I love that she is sort of influencing elements of her heritage into the music as well, and kind of changing up that usual trap formula. And it's really out there too. It's really creative, and it's incredibly, again, I'll say dark. It's edgy. It's very left field. And if you like your hip hop weird, give this thing a shot because it goes pretty frickin' hard. And we have Miss Lauryn Hill here, Guarding the Gates from the Queen and Slim, the soundtrack to Queen and Slim. And this is a lengthy one too. It's a very long ballad about love with some rich background instrumentation. It's a little repetitive, but the performance is good, and Lauryn Hill's voice sounds pretty good. She's dropped some material here and there over the course of this decade where maybe the instrumental or the vocals were pretty damn rough. But that is not the case on this new track over here. It doesn't sound like the good old days or anything like that. I'll say that. But it's actually sounding really good. Don't know if her work on the soundtrack is going to spark, a new commercial album or anything like that, a new solo release. But hey, you take what you can get. And finally, I think this is the last one we're going to discuss here. This brand new track, a collaborative, or really a crossover rather, because rest in peace, Sparklehorse. But a crossover between Danger Mouse and Sparklehorse, Ninjarous, featuring MF Doom. So incredible production on this one, I'll say that much. And MF Doom, his verse is good, but it's typical MF Doom flows and similes and rhymes. If you've heard him in his best moments throughout his discography, you've heard verses as good, if not better, than what he's done here. But still, the fact that he's crossing over with these two and the fact that the instrumental is so good on this one is cause to listen regardless. And obviously put in the best section because I loved it. So that is going to be it, I think. That has been the weekly track roundup, everyone. Hopefully, you got some good recommendations out of this video. You are the best. I will see you in the next one. Anthony Fantano, music forever.